Does pine pollen have side effects? Stay tuned in this video to find out. Hey, I'm Logan Christopher from Lost Empire Herbs, and I want to talk about side effects for pine pollen. You know, any powerful substance that you're working with, there is the chance for side effects. Now, because this is a natural herb, side effects tend to be significantly less than what you see with, say, pharmaceutical drugs of any type, but that doesn't mean that side effects and the possibility of them can't exist. So first off, we're talking about pine pollen. And some people do have allergies to this as a pollen. Now, just because you have seasonal allergies doesn't mean you're going to necessarily have any problems with this. Most people are going to be allergic to, one, it can just be the mold that often goes along with the pollens. By the way, our pine pollen is steam sterilized, whereas most of it out there, every other company is radiated from what we gather, so just something to know about that. But ours is steam distilled to make sure that this mold is not a problem. But you're getting allergies out there and there. It can be from the mold, it can be from all kinds of other plants and trees that are releasing pollen into the air. So just because you have that doesn't mean you're necessarily going to be allergic to pine pollen. Still, we do recommend you give this a shot. Take a small dose to begin with. If you have allergic reactions, you know, this isn't like a anaphylactic shock. I heard no cases of anyone having very serious side effects from this, but it's going to be just like watery eyes, itchy throat, runny nose, rashy type of appearance. That kind of thing could possibly happen. If that is the case for you, that's too bad. Pine pollen is not going to be the herb for you. However, some people, even if they have allergies with the powder, have been able to take the tincture without those. Because it is an alcohol extract, you're leaving the pollen itself behind. Some people have been able to have good effects from that. Some people, actually, I'll just say this myself. The pine pollen tincture, because I do so much to support my testosterone, I actually feel like the pine pollen tincture, which is more directly androgen boosting, is a bit too strong for me. I take that and, well, my libido can go through the roof to the point where it's distracting and not necessarily something I want all the time. So there can be like an excessive amount of that. Although pine pollen is mostly used by guys, it can work well for women as well. Now, I'll tell the story of my wife. I wanted her to experiment with pine pollen because it can work really great for women as well, especially if they know they have low testosterone. So I told her, and this is what we recommend when women are trying this, to take 1 to 2 drops per day. Not dropperfuls, drops. My wife did not hear that, so she's taking whole squirts of pine pollen, and she ends up getting acne on her shoulders because of it, which is kind of a sign of a little excessive testosterone, right? This is what we see with guys that go through puberty, often see acne not just on the face, but elsewhere in the body. So I thought that was an interesting side effect. So that's another thing that if you're taking too much, it can be too strong and kind of drive those androgens a bit excessive, and you may see acne in weird places. So that is a possibility. One of the big effects that people take pine pollen for is for its sexual benefit. So related to testosterone support, specifically we notice with pine pollen, a lot of guys will have more morning wood or stronger morning wood, so much so that we talk about having a morning wood guarantee. Nothing works for everyone, but it works for a lot of guys. And a few people, we've seen reviews and customer comments coming in saying it actually has the opposite effect for them. So I don't have any percentage, but a very small minority of guys seem to have less erectile ability when taking pine pollen. What that's about, probably taking too much for them, or it's not the right herb. A lot of herbs work on a bell-shaped curve sort of response, right? So we often think, oh, if some's good, more is better. Not always the case. But with pine pollen, I mean, we do recommend up to a megadose, and dose is very variable. But sometimes more is less. So you're taking it for a certain effect. There may be a sweet spot that works for your body. Unfortunately, we can't tell you exactly what that is. We can give you some recommended starting places, but there may be a point where you're taking too much and it can have the reverse effect that you're looking for. One other thing I'll mention, and this is especially true with the tincture, we do recommend cycling it. That is, take it, but then take some time off of taking it. A simple way to do this is 5 days on, 2 days off, or take a bottle over a month span, then take a week or 2 off after that. And the reason we do this is anytime we're working with something strong on the hormone system, it is good to lay off a little bit so our body does not get used to it. This in general helps you have a little bit better effects. So really, this is kind of all this different side effects that are possible or that we've heard about. But once again, this is a minority of people. Most people just take this and get the great benefits. And often when we're talking side effects, we talk about side benefits, right? So you may be taking it for one function, let's say like the testosterone, but you just notice your energy or your recovery improves. There's a lot more detail about pine pollen, about the tincture, the capsules, the powder over at lostempireherbs.com, and we got plenty of other videos on this topic. This is one of our most popular herbs. Actually, it's the most popular herbs in the different forms that are available for good reason. This is really helping people in our modern day world where there's endocrine disrupting chemicals literally in the very air that we breathe, let alone our food and water and everywhere else. We need some support. Nature here can really help us along with that. So check it out. Head on over to lostempireherbs.com.